Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to PMDC online lecture room. This is Bakhtiar Ahmad, lecturer in elective English, PMDC colleges, Peshawar. Dear students, in my previous lecture, I have discussed the character sketch of Gabriel Auk, the hero of the novel Far from the Madding Crowd. Dear student, in today's session, I will critically appreciate the character sketch of the antagonist, the villain of the novel Far from the Madding Crowd, and it is the character of Sergeant Troy. And at the end I will give you an assignment. Dear student, the topic is very important from the examination point of view. You can get many questions regarding this character. Look at, I have picked up some of the questions from previous papers. Dear student, you can get many questions in section B and section C in your examination. So if you want to get high marks, you should carefully watch my today's video lecture. Okay, dear student, Sergeant Troy. Sergeant Troy, he is the antagonist of the novel. He is introduced by Thomas Hardy in the novel as a dashing young soldier, and he was an accomplished swordsman. He was handsome and he was smart. He was dashing, and his handsome appearance, his smartness, his dash, his art of conversation and flattery combines to make him lady killer. But dear student, his faults were more numerous than his accomplishments. Dear students, he was an exceptional being. He was not an ordinary person. He was the product of his circumstances and temperamental inclinations. He believes essentially in the present, and he is not interested in the past nor future, and he feels and cares for what before his eyes only. For him, memories are like diseases, while expectations bring about disappointments. Dear student, he is a dissembler. He had the skill of being one thing and seeing another. He was an extrovert liar in the case of women. This habit wins him popularity at the very outset of his entrance in any form of society. So he spoke fluently and unceasingly. Dear student, he possesses a wonderful power of flattering women. He wins and charms women by flattering in the most extravagant term. Through exaggerated compliments, he put favorable effects upon Bathsheba's mind on his first accidental meeting. Even she scolded him, but he kept on praising her beauty in a very strong word of flattery. On his next meeting, he paid more compliments, and in the climax to his flattery, he thrust his golden watch as a gift. He told her that her beauty had struck him instantaneously, just as lightning strikes instantaneously. So he believed that in dealing with women, the only alternative to flattery was cursing and swearing and nothing else. So he was very much different from Gabriel and William Baldwood. Dear student, he was extremely selfish and ignoble person to the depth of his heart. He was utterly driven by his passion in the case of loving women, and not by sincerity or loyalty. His desertion of Fanny is inexcusable, and treatment of Bathsheba is reprehensible. He returned to Bathsheba not because of any love for her, but because he had failed to earn a decent living. We don't grieve over the end he meets, and he richly deserved that end that he was when Baldwood shoots him dead. Dear student, he very cruelly treated Fanny Robin. His villainous and ignoble conduct towards Fanny is unforgivable. He seduced her after giving assurance of marriage. It's true that Fanny mistakenly didn't keep the appointment for one time, but Troy felt more relief than regret at Fanny's failure to keep the appointment at the fixed hour. If he had been sincere with her, he could have made another appointment, but he had merely been flirting with Fanny for pleasure and not truly loved her. He was directly responsible for Fanny's most tragic end. Dear student, his love for Bathsheba was also flirting fashion. Therefore, he very unfairly treated and then left Bathsheba after testing her beauty. And he changed from an ardent lover into routine attitude towards her. Dear students, in assessing his character in some of the events in the novel, we can say that though he was an antagonistic character of the novel, full of all sort of vices and villainy, but still there is a slight touch of human feelings in his character. As we saw that he was deeply grieved when he saw Fanny in distress on the Casterbridge highway, and later on tried to help her with some money, and later on the sight of the dead Fanny aroused his conscience, and he held himself responsible for her tragic end. So his conscience rebuked him so severely for his faithlessness towards Fanny that he decided not to live with Bathsheba any longer, and he declared her his true wife in the heaven. But dear student, he was a sort of person whose other wishes were not quickly coming to notice. He used to gamble, stack money on horse races, and lavishly spending money and shun his responsibility by resigning from his service. He was drinker and used to seek the pleasure of love. His vices were the offspring of his impulse, while his virtuous conduct was the result of a cooled meditation. So, dear students, he was a liar, he was unscrupulous, he was callous, he was selfish, he was faithless, fickle, inconstant, irresponsible, gambler, drunkard. So, indeed, we should have no hesitation in calling him the villain of the novel. He stands in sharp contrast to Gabriel Oak. The two men are widely different from each other. As Thomas Hardy rightly remarks, in Troy's deformities lay sleep down from a woman's vision, whilst his embellishments were upon the very surface, thus contrasting with a homely Oak whose defects were patent to the blind and whose virtues were as metals in a mine. Gabriel Oak is a man of solid and sterling qualities, though his qualities are apparent to superficial eyes. Sergeant Troy suffers from plenty of faults and deficiencies, though these faults and deficiencies are hidden from the superficial eye. So, on the whole, Troy is a villain, and Gabriel Oak arouses our admiration and respect. Okay, dear students, this was all about our today's session, about today's lecture. I hope that you are clear about the character of Sergeant Troy, and if you get some question from this about this character in the examination, you will very easily attempt those questions. Dear student, I have an assignment for you, and it is about the character of Sergeant Troy. Critically appreciate the character. Write in detail the role of Sergeant Troy in the novel Far from the Madding Crowd. Discuss his character in different angles. I have picked some of his features of his character, and you also make your attempt to discuss the character in detail. Okay, dear student, thank you very much for watching my today's video lecture. Inshallah, I will catch you soon in my next video lecture, and till the time we meet, goodbye. Keep loving literature and happy learning.